I use a hand plane to flatten the joints of the cross pieces for the A legs. If you remember from the first video in this series, the dowel holes weren't quite centered, so the joint ended up just barely off. Nothing a planer can't fix. An orbital sander with 60 grit paper makes quick work of the rough marks left by the planer and gap filler. I like to combine very fine sawdust from the dust catcher on the sander with wood glue to create a paste which perfectly matches the color of the wood I'm working on. Using a roundover bit on the router, I remove the harsh corners on the bench top so they won't be so dangerous to any knees or legs moving by. Similarly, I round over the corners on the legs so stubbed toes don't end up bleeding. I make sure to round over the bottom of the feet so that the end grain of the wood doesn't catch while sliding and cause it to split. The legs will be attached underneath the bench top, but need to have a strong joint. I create essentially a mortise and tenon joint so that part of the legs can poke through the bench top, holding them in place. I cut some shoulders in the legs to support the bench top itself so that weight applied won't cause the joint to slide down the legs. Cutting the shoulders in the legs with a Japanese pole saw removed most of the material, but the joint is just slightly too tight. I remove a bit of material with my chisels so that the joint is snug, but won't cause the bench top to split. Using a pull saw, I cut a slot across the tenon of the legs for a wedge which will be fitted there after the legs are attached to the bench top. This will cause the tenon to widen and make a tight hold on the bench top. Glue is just the icing on the strength aspect. I apply glue to the tenon and place the legs into the mortise on the bench top. While everything is still wet, I hammer some wedges into the wedge slots to lock the tenons in place. By far the most time-consuming single activity of this whole build is torching the wood. When I'm finishing wood with the yakisugi technique, or more appropriately, shusugiban, since this is not Japanese cypress, I hold the torch in place until the wood is not only burned and turns black, but the surface starts to crack. This ensures the following wire brush scraping will remove the char evenly for a uniform look. It takes a long time, but it is oh so satisfying. After torching the entirety of the wood, I use a strong bristled steel wire brush to scrape off all the char. Since the firing mostly burns away the large cellulose structures of the wood, the finer grains are left behind and you get this fantastic striping and dramatic grain pattern. Not only does it look nice, but it's wonderful to touch. I use some clear oil-based spar urethane to give this a strong finish which should stand up to almost any abuse. Before calling it done, I apply 3 coats just to be sure. If you liked this series, please subscribe to be notified of my next project.